Now let's go back to Jerusalem right now, where our correspondent Stephanie Fried is standing by for a state funeral for late Israeli statesman Shimon Peres. Well, Stephanie, tell us more about what you've seen at the funeral.
Well, at this very moment, the guests and the coffin has left the area that I'm in. This was the area where the ceremony was held. The prayers were recited, and also this is where the eulogies were delivered. Now, what we're seeing on a large screen behind me, I'm not sure whether you can see that or not. All of the people attending the funeral have now moved to the grave side, and Shimon Peres has been buried. The guests are still there, and the ceremony now, it's a matter of laying wreaths and laying stones. That is a Jewish tradition, is to lay stones on the grave. So right now it's still here in Jerusalem at Mount Herzl Cemetery. He has been buried, Shimon Peres. All the dignitaries, the world leaders, including from China, are there at the graveside paying their final respects, listening to the rabbis there say the final prayers. Again, they'll lay at least 15 wreaths from various bodies within the country, organizations, the military, the government, and so on and so forth. And then it's safe to assume that within the next 15 to 20 minutes, the graveside ceremony will also end.
Like you said, world leaders, several of them have attended the state funeral. Despite the current stalemate between Palestine and Israel, Mahmoud Abbas still paid his respects. So what did the Palestinian president said in his speech?
Actually, President Abbas was not called upon to speak, and that's the point there about Mahmoud Abbas being here for the funeral. It was a guess whether he would. He was in a difficult position whether or not to come. It was interesting to listen to the other speeches given by the Israeli heads of state, the president, the parliament speaker, because they talked about Israel as a democracy, and I, for one, couldn't help but think about President Abbas sitting there in the first row and his democracy, or the democracy of the Palestinian people, which is not a reality for the Palestinians. And yet the heads of state were talking about Israel as a democracy, a democratic state that Shimon Peres helped found. The one politician who squarely addressed in his eulogy the state of Palestinian-Israeli peace was President Barack Obama, a bold move on his part, where he essentially said all the leaders here, with all of the representation here, it's a reminder that Shimon Peres has left the business of peace unfinished. So a bold move also on the part of President Abbas, who came to the funeral despite the criticism that he will get back home with the Palestinians. But in terms of politics, it was left mainly to the side, a day to remember Shimon Peres.
Thank you very much. That was our correspondent Stephanie Fried in Jerusalem.